What's up, guys? Rick here with your preview for this week's Valspar Championship. And before we get to that, yes, the rumors are true. My March Madness optimal bracket video is out now. I know nothing about basketball. I know a little bit about math. We'll see what happens, right? So fire away. Go check that out. There's a really good tie-in with Pool Genius and Splash. Quite honestly, that's the only reason I do partnerships is when they're really good fits. So our Splash listener league for this week again for the Valspar Championship is up and running. It is $15,000 guaranteed. It is a $20 entry. The guys over at Splash are nuts. They're guaranteeing $1 million in the March Madness Survivor contest. So if you haven't played this, I had a ton of fun with this in the past. It's very, very similar to One and Done, and I think it's getting as popular as quickly. Basically, you pick one team to advance every day. If they advance, you advance, and you go until there's nobody left. So like NFL Survivor, a little bit of One and Done in there. It is very fun. It's $1 million for first. So if 10 people get to the end, I guess they're going to split it up. It's going to be 100,000 a pop, but a million guaranteed is actually nuts. So that is available. And then on Pool Genius for the tools, their One and Done tools are great. Their March Madness tools are insane. Like absolutely insane. I showed them in that video. If you haven't gotten involved yet, like now is the perfect time, but it's absolutely sick. So go check that stuff out. It's the only time, basically once a year where I talk about talk about basketball for sure. But let's get to golf. So this is the Valspar. This is Innisbrook. This is technically the last of the Florida swing, but this plays a little bit different than the other courses. There's not nearly as much water on Innisbrook, though it is out there. The other thing is there's a lot more tree-lined fairways, just a little bit different style of golf, and it does not create a lot of dispersion of scores, which I think is interesting. Everything kind of plays fairly close to one another. As I click through the satellite imagery, you'll see I love the way they use this. Is such a cool feature I love, right? Same lake, same pond, whatever you call that, in play on two different holes and kind of in two different ways. So I really like the design of this. This is, I believe it's a Larry Packer. This is a cool course. I'd love to get there at some point. From a statistical standpoint, very similar profile to a tour average golf course, except an emphasis on strokes gained approach. It ranks 8th in terms of other courses, meaning there's only 7 other courses in which strokes gained approach is more important. Other than that, you can see the shape here. It is very, very similar to a PGA Tour average course. A little bit more important in putting, a little bit less important of driving distance, a little bit more important of driving accuracy, but all in all, very, very similar to what you would see. I do note this as well. The secondary stats, which are usually stats that are not as good, quite frankly, because based on the way that they're measured or something like that, have a lot of scrambling numbers, scrambling from 30 yards and farther, scrambling from the rough. And I thought that was pretty interesting in terms of approach shots, because you do get a pretty decent amount of approach shots that are coming from longer or farther distances than tour average, 175 yards to 200 yards, from 200 yards and out. There are more of those shots coming here than at other PGA Tour courses. So I do think that adds up. And then if you take all of that information and you apply it to the last 36 rounds for everybody in this field, Tommy Fleetwood and Shane Lowry get the biggest course adjusted fit. Both of them at 1.35. Justin Thomas gets a 1.13, Alex Smalley 1.09, and Rasmus Niergaard Peterson, the last guy above a 1 on the adjusted fit. We're going to talk about him. We've got to talk about him indeed. He is the 5th man on that list. It's probably worth noting that before the salaries were released, Akshay Bhatia withdrew from this event, but when salaries were released, he was still in the field. Not great. I think DraftKings probably could have just removed him. I've removed him. Everything you see from this point forward is my website, RickRunGood.com. I think you should sign up for it while I'm asking you to go do Splash and asking you to go do the Pool Genius stuff. You should probably have already done the Rick Run Good stuff if you're watching this as well. So here we go. 4 golfers over $10,000: Justin Thomas, Xander Schauffele, Tommy Fleetwood, and Sepp Straka. Really interesting. I honestly think the bottom two, Fleetwood and Straka, are probably my 2 favorite. They're golfers. All 4 of these golfers are guys that we talk about ad nauseum. So I don't think I need to get too deeply involved in any of them. But what you have seen from Tommy Fleetwood as of late is what you've seen from Tommy Fleetwood at Innisbrook and what you've seen from Tommy Fleetwood for basically the last year. Say it with me now. A well-rounded, complete game. That's right. This is just an excellent stat profile in which he piles up strokes gained from tee to green. In fact, he's gained at least 4 strokes from tee to green in every event dating back to the Tour Championship. So that is all the measured events from the European Tour that he played in the fall. It is the 4 of the PGA Tour. And of course, the 2 starts at Innisbrook in the past, not last year, but 2023 and 2022, both were times where he gained across the board. He finished T3 and he finished T16. So Tommy is probably my favorite, I think. I think I can say that without too much concern for the other guys. The other guys are great, but this is awesome. Tommy's been really, really good. Sepp Straka, I don't think I need to dive too deep into either. It is honestly a very similar stat profile to Tommy Fleetwood, but it is a little bit more volatile. The miscut at Genesis, but the win at the American Express. Those are 2 things that Tommy doesn't really do. Doesn't really miss cuts and hasn't really won on the PGA Tour, but otherwise bolstered by great tee to green play and the ability to make enough putts. The history for Sepp at Valspar is a lot more checkered. He did play here last year and missed the cut. He played here then 5 years prior in 2019 and finished T46. That one I don't worry about. I don't even worry about the missed cut so much. He has come so far in the last 365 days that I don't think I really care about what he did at this event last year, just to kind of see what was he doing leading into this event. Well, leading into this event last year, he had lost strokes with the putter in 5 straight. That's not great. You look at what he's doing now. Yeah, I mean, he's like a well above average putter this time. So those are probably the 2 favorites. I think JT and Xander Schauffele are a little bit more questionable. Justin Thomas gets the nod here at 10,800. I probably don't think that I probably don't think is a weird sentence. I don't think he should be the most expensive. Last time I checked, which was a couple of minutes ago, there were a trio of co-favorites for this event. They were all 14-1. It was Justin Thomas, Xander Schauffele, and Tommy Fleetwood. Yet Justin Thomas is $500 more expensive than Tommy Fleetwood and $300 more expensive than Xander Schauffele. The driving's like a problem, right? We knew that at TPC Sawgrass. When he gets it going well. When he doesn't, he sprays it, and I think you could be hitting it into the trees and putting yourself in prison quite a bit here if you're a little bit off with the driver, which is kind of what happens with Justin Thomas. The putter did heat up at TPC Sawgrass, and of course he tied the course record there on Friday, one of the best rounds that we've had in 2025, especially after having one of the worst rounds of his career on Thursday. So I'm really impressed by that. I just see a guy who, despite some amazing, incredible play, has got like a T33 and a T36 in his last 2 starts. And I think that speaks a lot to the current state of his game. The bigger problem that I have is mostly just the pricing here. I think Tommy Fleetwood's a better play. And let's just be real here. We're just waiting for Xander to get back to being Xander. And if this is the week, he's by far the best player in the field. So I would rather take the $300 discount and also just take the Xander long-term upside. Was he good at TPC Sawgrass? No. After he made the cut, he basically packed it in. He was miserable on Saturday and Sunday. Every time they cut to him, he was either hitting it into the water or hitting out of the pine straw. It was bad. I think that the metrics will end up being worse than what it actually was because there are so many water balls and penalty strokes that get added on. If you hit a couple of shots poorly and they find the water, like you're going to start losing strokes in a big way. What he did at Bay Hill was a lot more encouraging. I still think that he is a guy who is clearly not up to his best form, but who knows? Is it right around the corner? I don't know. Finished T5 here last year where he gained across the board. It was a very Xander-esque week. And then played here in 2022 where he finished T12. Again, kind of a very Xander-esque week. So I know this isn't great, but I know that if I get his A- stuff or his B+ stuff, he's going to be in contention. If I get his A+ stuff, he runs away with this golf tournament, which I think is why the discount makes it less likely that I play Justin Thomas. But I do think that the Fleetwood Straka guys at the bottom of that 10K range are probably my favorite way to go there. The 9K range has a lot of playable golfers in here. I'm still not getting the Sam Burns stuff. Now, I guess the pricing of him being $9,800 makes more sense here because he's won this event twice. He won it back-to-back in 2021 and 2022. He finished 6th here in 2023, but he is so far away from being that golfer right now. It's jarring. He has lost multiple strokes on approach in 8 out of 9. That's bad. His baseline is a big time approach player, a big time putter, and he's lost half of that. And the part that is not only the most important on tour, but is the one that gets the biggest boost here compared to tour averages at Innisbrook. So, maybe I'll get burned this week, but it hasn't happened in a while, saying this stat profile and this pricing does not match up for Sam Burns. Maybe he comes back to a place where he's got a lot of great success and something clicks for him, but that's the hope, and hope is not a strategy. Corey Connors, I think that this is actually a little bit better of a spot for him than Bay Hill and TPC Sawgrass were, and he went 3rd and T6th at those events. He's got a 16th and a 21st here, but he hasn't played here since 2021. The putting is, again, he's giving us these little spurts, right? We saw it from the Scottish Open to the Olympics. We saw it a little bit like Procore President's Cup, where he can have back-to-back weeks or 3 weeks in a row or 4 out of 6 in which he putts well. And he's in the midst of one of those runs right now. And when you combine that with his already great play, or his already great tee to green play, you know what you're going to get. So it's a really, really high upside golfer. I would rather play Corey Connors than Sam Burns. And I'm not a huge Sam Burns guy in general. Shane Lowry. So if you saw at the beginning or remember from the beginning, he got this really big boost from the course fit or the adjusted course fit for Innisbrook. He's played here twice, but again, 2022, 2028. I'm actually impressed with the field they got for this year. Seems to be top heavy, seems to be a lot stronger than memory serves, or at least what I was expecting when I was thinking about this event a week ago. Those two starts, again, 2022 and 2018, were a T12 and a T49 for Shane Lowry. Really like the way he's playing, really like a lot. So, I like Connors, Lowry, Will Zalatoris, very solid core. If you want to play those guys, that's great. Zalatoris played well enough to win last week. Will Zalatoris for 66 holes played well enough to win last week. And then those final 4 holes on Saturday, unbelievable. He made an 8. Just unbelievable. Lost 4 strokes to the field when all was said and done, but look at what he did the rest of the week. Plus 2.3, plus 5.4, plus 1.8. You go back to Bay Hill. His final round at Bay Hill was really good. You go back to Torrey, 3 positive rounds there. We are definitely getting some sort of life out of Will Zalatoris right now. Gained 3.5 strokes with the putter at TPC Sawgrass. Has never played here. It's kind of surprising. Maybe not. Would not mind that. So that's kind of the core in the 9s. Those 3, Connors, Lowry, Zalatoris, I think are great. I'll catch you later, Tom Kim. I'll catch you later, Jordan Spieth. And then I feel like in the same way that I say, why is Sam Burns this price, meaning this expensive? Like, why is Alex Smalley this price and it's never expensive enough? Now he was very, very cheap last week. He was like $6,700 or something. I don't even know what it was. Something outrageously low, and puts up another top 15 finish and was actually like in the mix for a lot of that event. So let's zoom out on Alex Smalley's top 2025 here. He's played 7 events. 6 of them are top 25 finishes. None are better than T10. So a lot of that like T10 to T21, really good metrics across the board. This will skew on the weaker side of things in terms of field strength. This will be his 4th trip, 2 missed cuts and a T27. I'm riding this horse until she tells me to stop. You know what I mean? Like I just see a golfer who's playing really well. If we go and look at the power rankings here, so last 36 rounds for everybody in this field, Alex Smalley is the 8th best player in this field. 1.35 strokes gained per round. He's actually been very good from tee to green, 1.4 from tee to green. Incredible stuff. I want to see, he's probably trending well over his 100 round baseline. He's playing basically a stroke better per round in the last 36 than he has in his 100 round baseline. And he's doing it in a very, very good way, which is basically from tee to green. And he's just a good putter as well. So really good stat profile, really good stat profile. The 8K range. Let's start with Michael Kim. So Michael Kim misses the cut last week. That wasn't great, but I don't know how good of a venue TPC Sawgrass was for Michael Kim, and he missed the cut, on the number, and played well on Friday. Like, his Friday round was awesome. His Friday round was splendid. Picked up 2.5 strokes to the field, gained basically in every category. He was basically a dead zero with the putter. It was just the off the tee game on Thursday that hurt him. It was probably like 2 balls in the water, and that was it. So 2 bad swings ends your chances at the Players Championship. You make the cut on the number, maybe you tie the course record, maybe you pull a Justin Thomas and, whatever. I'm not going to forgive, or I'm not going to hold it against him, and I'm going to forgive very quickly here. So T2, 13th, 6th, 4th missed cut. Yeah, I can forgive the missed cut. And then I think there's a lot of other kind of buy spots here for guys that we haven't spent a lot of time talking about. I've spent a lot of time talking negatively about JT Poston, and mostly just out of a point of like, what happened? JT Poston, especially in the fall and in his entire career, was awesome. He wins the Shriners. He was playing well leading into that with a couple of 33rds. He played well at the RSM. Then he completely forgot how to putt. One of the best putters on the PGA Tour, lost 30 strokes to the field in 7 starts. Well, putted much better last week. The result came back, T33. Is it possible that we can keep the ball striking gains and return to form with the putter? If that's possible, JT Poston can win this golf tournament. I saw him at 45-1. I think that if you are here he is. He's been hanging out in this optimal upper left-hand quadrant of the breakout candidates because his ball striking numbers are great, and he is so far below his putting baseline. It's crazy. I've seen this name in this quadrant over and over and over again, and we got the sign of life from the putter last week. That's good enough for me, because when JT Poston's got his A+ stuff, he wins golf tournaments, right? He's won. I mentioned that he won the Shriners. He also won. Where else did he win recently? John Deere, right? Wyndham. And then there was another event there that he should have won. Was it Barracuda? Was it something? Remember when they pulled out the string to see if his ball was inbounds or not? That was JT Poston blowing a win somewhere, wasn't it? Wyndham, Sedgefield, a difficult tree-lined golf course. I can make some comps. To this week at Innisbrook. And then the final 3, Luke Clanton's got, oh boy. Did he go pro? No, he didn't go pro. Luke Clanton, did he sign with Nike? He's got the new headshot. I might have completely missed that. It's been a busy week, a lot of stuff going on. Did he sign with Nike? Because he's no longer has like the Union Home Mortgage hat or whatever it was. He's got the Nike gear on. He looks good. New headshot. Luke Clanton looks great. Has the PGA Tour card locked up. From just an actual metric standpoint, he has cooled, but he has still found a way to get inside the top 20, which I think is a very strong skill set for him, is even when you don't have your best stuff. When he started out his I'll call it PGA Tour career, even though it's as an amateur, he was putting together like Justin Thomas level approach numbers. That has cooled off, but it's not always to the detriment of his finishing positions. He can still put together a T2 while losing strokes on approach. He can put together a T15 losing strokes on approach, which is good to see. So I think he's a little bit riskier than maybe some of the other guys in this range, but the upside is to die for. Victor's struggles continue. I think this is the first time he's played here before. 2022 and 2021. He had a third in 2021. I'm going to just wait and see. This is not good stuff. I want to see Jake Knapp's profile because this is what I thought. He's really starting to put it together. 3 really good rounds last week and an okay round. Cognizant was him getting off to a hot start, ended up finishing T6. His 2025 has been really good. Has he missed a cut this year? Last cut was the American Express. He's made 7 in a row with a bunch of top 25 finishes highlighted by that T6 earlier at Cognizant. Probably doesn't get a lot of run because now he's more expensive and he doesn't have the history at Valspar. But I mean, he's played well. Let's see, played well at PGA National, played well at TPC Sawgrass. If we go back to last year, I feel like he had some good runs at in Florida as well. So this might be just kind of a decent run for Jake Knapp. The 7K range is fascinating because it has a combination of guys we see every week, guys from Korn Ferry, guys from opposite field events, guys from Europe, all that fun stuff. Let's start with Rasmus Niergaard Peterson. We might have to get used to this name here. So the history on him is this. He's from Denmark. He went to Oklahoma State. He is, I think he was an All-American at Oklahoma State, just obviously the great pipeline that comes out of there. He goes to the Challenge Tour, which is the European Tour's development league. It's basically the Korn Ferry Tour. He wins 3 times there, gets the promotion to the European Tour, has some really good results in 2024. Alfred Dunhill Links, he finishes T4. He's got some other top 20s there. And then 2025 rolls around and he's played 5 times. He's got the T10 at the Dubai Desert Classic, which is a big time event where he gained 10 strokes from tee to green. 2 missed cuts. Then he finished most recently a runner-up in Qatar, where he gained 9 strokes from tee to green, and a runner-up in the Puerto Rico Open. So that's now the entry point to the PGA Tour. You get a runner-up finish at the Puerto Rico Open. You get another crack at this. You get to go to Valspar. This kid's a stud. Okay. Just like very much one of these talented Scandinavians who they've just got plenty of game and they're coming, and like he is one of them. So if you look at now these are obviously the numbers are against DP World Tour players and such, but if you saw when I was going through some of the power rankings and things, his name pops up here. Over the last 36 rounds, he's the second best player in this field behind Tommy Fleetwood, 1.68 strokes gained per round. Obviously, that's DP World Tour stuff and just 4 rounds of PGA Tour stuff, but just he's awesome, and I think we got to keep a close eye on him. He's $7,700. I was happy to see the way Joe Highsmith bounced back. This is always a weird situation when you have a guy who wins and then misses the cut, and then what? Is it going to spark a downturn? Are they going to be able to bounce back? Are they going to continue to play well? Especially the first win, it's hard to figure out for some guys. So pretty ugly miscut at Bay Hill, a really good T20 at the Players where he gained strokes to the field, at least 1 stroke in 3 of the 4 rounds. He lost a half a stroke on Friday. Other than that, really good. I like to see that the putting numbers were positive 3 of those days. He putted well at API. He putted well at Cognizant. He putted well in Mexico. That's the key. If he putts well, he is super, super dangerous. I also think that Joseph Bramlett has been quietly, just whisper, Joseph Bramlett, my fellow Travis Matthew guy, very quietly putting together a good run dating back to the fall. He's bounced around. Clearly doesn't have the best status on the PGA Tour right now because he's playing some Korn Ferry Tour events. He's playing some opposite field events. But what I see is a golfer that since Puerto Rico, so that's 7 events, has gained strokes to the field in 8 events. He gained strokes to the field in 7 of them. The best tournaments that he's put together have been basically the last 3. So Panama Championship, he gained 6 strokes to the field there, finishes 22nd. That's a Corn Ferry Tour event. The Argentina Open finishes T29, and then he played Puerto Rico and finished 3rd. Okay, now we're cooking. He's played this event a lot. This is going to be trip number 6 to Innisbrook, and his results have gotten better every single time. Cut 63rd, 48th, 36th, 17th for Joseph Bramley. Picked up 8 strokes from tee to green last time he played here. So I think that Bramlett, sneaky, quiet, playing decent golf. You certainly love to see it. Now here's the Joe Highsmith question apply to Carl Phillips. What is Carl Phillips going to do? Carl Phillips wins Puerto Rico and gets smoked by TPC Sawgrass. Now what? Is he going to bounce back and say, okay, let me just get back to playing well? And I wasn't expecting to be in the Players Championship, and boy, that was a crazy week. I don't know. We're going to learn a lot about Carl Phillips. I wouldn't mind a little bit of a flyer on him at $7,000. I think that he's obviously incredibly talented. We talk about him all the time, and I think that I'd give him a chance for $7,000. One of the other guys that, if you look at that, so by the way, that upper left-hand quadrant of the trends tool, of the breakout candidates tool, Joseph Bramlett there, Rico Hoey there. And I wanted to pull up Rico because all 3 of those guys are in the 7K range, right? Or is Poston's more expensive than that? But the other two are in the 7K range. Look at what Rico's been up to. Unbelievable. I mean, we know he drives it. I've heard someone say someone has told me that he's like the best driver in the world, and I was like, I don't know about that, but he drives it really well. And he picked up 6.6 strokes off the tee at the Players. That's nuts. He gained at least a stroke every single round at TPC Sawgrass with the driver. That is nuts. Lost 7 with the putter. That's not very good. The good news is he played here last year, and he did gain for the week, and he actually gained strokes putting in 3 of the 4 rounds. So maybe this is a little bit of a better venue for him. He cannot putt. But if he does, if he's a 0, he's very, very live for like a top 10 finish. So Rico at $7,000, ready to break out. It's why he shows up on that breakouts candidate tool. It's why he's going to model really well. So, yeah, I thought that was fun. There's not a heck of a whole lot to be excited about in the $6,000 range, but I do think there are a couple worth highlighting here. Danny Walker, who has just been basically playing himself into a bunch of tournaments. He gets into Farmers, T42, Mexico, T13, Puerto Rico, he makes the cut, finishes 64th, and then gets in late last week. I think he was the Jason Day alternate and finishes T6. He's a very talented player. When he gets into fields, he has been taking advantage of it. We see these stretches from guys sometimes where it's like they're literally playing for their livelihood, playing every single week. And the swing is gorgeous. The metrics are really good. The results are there. I'm not opposed to playing Danny Walker at all. Neil Shipley's back in this field. Expectations were incredibly high for Neil when he was low am at Augusta and the US Open. Both of them. Is that right? Definitely at Augusta. I can't remember the US Open. And it hasn't been as good recently. He's been playing on the Corn Ferry Tour. He's missed 3 out of his last 5 cuts, but the 2 that he made were a T9 in Panama, and his most recent was a T15 at the Chile Classic. So I love the talent. He's obviously going to be going through some growing pains, but at $6,500, that's a really good sign. Again, kind of just whispering like Davis Riley's playing better. Like, I don't think he's playing great golf, but he's $6,800. He's the winner on the PGA Tour. He's gained at least a stroke on approach in 3 straight, and his best finish is the one we don't have the strokes gain breakdown for, which is the Puerto Rico Open and a T6 there. So that's like, okay, well, might be good enough, quite honestly. And then his history at the Valspar, missed the cut here last year, but a 19th and a runner-up the 2 years before that. And then I wanted to pull this name up. Kieran Van Wyck. I don't think I know anything about him. I only have 4 rounds on him, which is why he pops up all over the place. He finished 4th in Puerto Rico. I believe he's South African because he played the South African Open in 2020. I do not know how he got into the Puerto Rico Open, maybe through open qualifying, but finished T4. I don't have any other information on him. I just wanted to click his name and see why he was popping up in those 4-round models of mine. I think I'm ready to run a model. So let's run a model here. We've got to use the weighted strokes gained metrics because these guys are coming from all over the place. So we have got to use 25 weighted strokes gained total over the last 36. We are then going to put an emphasis on strokes gained approach, obviously. Last 36 for 15. And then what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put a little bit on 6, 12, 18, like 150 to 175, 175 to 200, 200 to 225, just like some farther ranges. Then what I'm also going to do though is do a little bit of scrambling. That seemed important. We'll put 12 there. Course history on Innisbrook. Sure. I think that is probably reasonable for 15, which leaves us with 15. And I probably want this is so someone asked this in the live chat the other day. This is probably a good drive week with the tree linedness of the fairways. All right. My number one golfer is, wow, Sepp Straka. Oh, Kurt Kitayama's number 2. Somebody texted me and said, hey, is Kurt Kitayama back? I don't know. I really don't know. Well, he gained strokes putting at the Players each of the last 3 rounds, which is good. Did not hit it well, but his round 4 was a lot better. Gosh, I want to believe, don't I? Drives it so well. I think I need to see one more week. Because he doesn't have the history here. I think I need to see one more. But he models really well for me. Sam Ryder 3, Lucas Glover 4, Joel Damon 5. Oh boy, I didn't talk about any of these guys. Bridgman, Kim, Michael Kim, Andrew Putnam, Shane Lowry, Justin Lauer. Wow. That right there is a field. Joe Highsmith, 14th. He's $7,300. What has Sam Ryder been up to? 7,100. Putter's been lights out. My goodness. Hasn't missed a cut since hasn't missed a cut in 2025. Driver's really bad, but I assume that's mostly distance related. Has he played here before? Must have. Yeah, this is 6th trip. Last 2 were pretty good. Gosh, he's such a bad ball striker, though. He's really, really relying on the putter. What else did we get there? Putnam. Okay, we'll look at Lauer real quick. Kind of similar. Very good putter. Hit it well, or at least off the tee at both ball striking metrics at the Players Championship. Wow. Not a lot of great stuff. Okay, well, I guess it's March Madness week. I guess it's Valspar week. I am excited. We're going to continue to rock and roll. Go check out all the stuff in the description and the March Madness video and RickRunGood. The normal stuff that I would ask of you. Tuesday live chat. I'll be there. You'll be there. We'll be there. It'll be great. I will talk to you guys then.